Welcome to MBTV. My name is Trey. Today we're going to be talking about Enneagram 6. Alright, so Enneagram 6. First we're going to go into the main core type, Enneagram 6, and then we're going to go into the wings, some misconceptions we have with type 6, and then we're going to go into the different MBTI types as a type 6. So first of all, we've got the childhood wound, which is a lack of trust and protection. And a lot of like the main idea of a type 6 is that they are afraid of dying. And when I say dying, it's really important that we capture that it's not necessarily death that a type 6 is afraid of, because they might actually enjoy the release that comes with death because they're so afraid of having to try to survive. Type 6s are really worried about survival, and that's really the essence of a 6. Is that they're wondering how they're going to make it alive. And a lot of times they depend on social structures. They depend on how do I survive in this world? Maybe if I can join a group or some kind of like brotherhood or something. You know, a lot of people will be engaged in churches or some kind of security or support system that they can rely on. It's important for a 6 that they have something to fall back on, because they feel as though they can't make it out on their own. So let's talk about the wings just a bit. The 6 is considered a skeptic quite a bit, but the 6-wing 7 is going to be less logical in that sense. The 6-wing 7 is going to be skeptical to aid their personal advances. 6-wing 5, they're more concerned with the actual truth. A 6-wing 7 may, they may doubt friends and doubt their own security with friends and their trust that they have with their friends. And they do it for the ultimate goal of making sure they feel okay, but all the things they'll use as evidence. So for example, let's say that I didn't trust you as a friend. So we're friends, just as an example, and I don't trust you. I'm afraid that you might betray me. If I were a 6-wing 7, I might, bring up a whole bunch of things that are kind of irrelevant to like anything really. They aren't necessarily justified as some way of determining that I shouldn't trust you. But the 6-wing 5 will be much more realistic in a sense, because the 6-wing 5 is actually looking for things that will legitimately, like a legitimate concern for things that they have to worry about. As a 6-wing 7, you're going to be naturally more skeptical, and you should probably watch out, because if you're not careful, you can aid your personal advances or your own suspicions just because you can, not necessarily because it's the truth. There's a problem with type 6s, and that's that a lot of people think that they're a bunch of pansies. And that's because when it comes to type 6s, they are a bunch of pansies. But realistically, the basic definition of a pansy is someone who is weak, and the type 6 is associated with fear. So that may look really weak. It doesn't necessarily mean that they are weak, because it's not like they have tried or struggled to have strength in their situation. It's just that they're afraid of the situation itself and their survival in it, which can be seen as weakness. This would cause them to move away from something instead of moving towards it. The type 6 is afraid of death in a sense, but like I said earlier, it's not necessarily a main concern, as they may actually love the release of death. A lot of type 6s may have a romantic look at death in a sense, especially if they have 4 in their tri-type as well. They're going to see, because just for we got a bunch of emo goth kids as the type 4, so I can see a 6 and 4 together. They'd be like, oh, death is such a beautiful thing, just can't wait until I die. I don't know, something dumb like that. Don't do that. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about the different types of Enneagram 6, but starting with the TI-DOM, I believe. No, we'll start with the TE-DOM. So with the TE-DOM, normally like a TE-DOM 8 would be wary of allowing other people in their group. Damon's a good example of this. He talked about how he doesn't necessarily want investors because they have control over him. And that's a type 8 thing. They don't necessarily want anyone to have that control. With a type 6, it's going to look a bit different as a TE-DOM. They're going to want as much backing as possible. And when I say backing, it doesn't necessarily mean like an investment necessarily. They may do that, but they may also have they may actually use strategy in the sense that companies like Google might have like a very nicely knit community, and the type 6 TE Dom might want to accomplish that as well. But it's not going to be like the TE Dom's not going to be a part of it. They're probably not going to be as emotionally invested as a lot of other people would be in this community or in this theme. The TI Dom, type 6, is going to be prepare for all the outliers in the system. It's going to be more like, what can go wrong, what can go wrong. This is especially with the INTP. The ISTP isn't necessarily going to be as concerned with all the variables that may, go wrong, in the sense that they want as much security as possible. Can I check all the possibilities and make sure that everything's lined up? And that's because the INTP has a very romantic relationship with extrovert intuition and introverted sensing. They work very well together. And so for the INTP, it's going to be, their concern is mainly going to go to making sure that they are well prepared with that SI and that NE. But for the ISTP, it's going to be a bit different. It's not necessarily outliers in a system. It's more fear of the eventual future. Because introverted intuition, it's kind of fear that they can't put all the SE pieces together into an NI archetype. This might actually show up in the INTP as well, in the sense that the INTP won't be able to find any kind of practical application to their extrovert intuition ideas, and that would be another issue with the type 6 TI Dom. All right, so with the FE Dom, it's going to be very similar to the TE Dom, in the sense that the TE Dom was all concerned with having a backing for their company or group. The FE Dom is going to be more social in a sense, more focused on getting a group together that they can rely on in a sense. Not necessarily like a true reliance where they're concerned with that person fully supporting them or that group fully supporting them. It's more about the idea that if there's anything that could go wrong, they would have that group there for them. They'll probably be very family oriented as well, because family is family naturally has to worry for each other traditionally. So maybe not all like FE Doms, but especially the ESFJs, because of that SI. It's going to make them very family oriented. The FI Dom. So it's been pretty interesting, because with the TE and the FE users, they're concerned with a backing. They want a backing, a strong group of friends or investors or whatever it is, so people who can make sure that they're okay. The FI Dom is a bit different. They are afraid of letting people in. FI Doms don't necessarily, as a type 6, don't want anyone to, they're afraid of letting people into their inner circle. They're afraid of making friends because of what those friends may do. They may backstab them, may manipulate them. That's something the FI Dom doesn't want. So for them, it's going to be a little bit of an opposite effect, not necessarily focused on the group or some kind of social arrangement, but more concerned with their security in their inner circle, and making sure that not a lot of people are get into their inner circle. For the extroverted intuitive Dom, so for the NE Dom, it's for the NE Dom, they're screwed. Man, like if you believe in God or anything like that, you need to pray to God, and when you're counting your blessings, thank God that you are not any Dom type 6, because your concern with your own security will be horrible. Just consider it for a moment. Extrovert intuition is so worried about all the possibilities and can, like, they normally explore. There's normally a childish exploring, like, let's see all the ideas and all the things we can like think about. But when it comes to the any Dom type 6, it's all about their security and worrying about whether or not they'll make it. And if you consider all the things that can go wrong, that would suck. All right, so NI Dom is going to look a lot like the SI Dom, in the sense that the NI Dom's going to play it safe. They may be confused with SI types because of it, because SI types usually would, just for example, like go to college and do just traditional things to keep everything knit together. The NI Dom will be afraid that if they don't do it, then something might go wrong. They're going to be less concerned with taking risks, like a lot of NTJs might do. NFJs, not so much with taking risks, but in the same way, the INFJ will still be concerned with making sure they do things like, the traditional way, just to make sure everything lines up correctly. With the SE-Dom, they're going to be more concerned with their TI and FI. Not so concerned with their SE, and the reason for that is that if we consider the NE-Dom, they're just worrying about all the things that could go wrong. And that's why I said count your blessings, and pray to God that, you know, thank you for not making me a NE-Dom type 6. With the SE-Doms, it would be worse. It would be much worse because they're actively engaging with all the things they fear. But I just don't believe that an SE-Dom type 6 would do that. I really do believe that these SE-Doms will look more like ISTPs and ISFPs than they do ESTPs and ESFPs, because they're more concerned with their logical or value-oriented framework and how that will support them. So as an ESTP, for example, if I were an ESTP and I were like, you know, a type 6 and I wanted to engage, but I was really scared about the possibilities of what, you know, not necessarily the possibilities, but my eventual end, then I might say, you know, logically, does this make any sense? Logically, will I be hurt by this? Logically, and the FI Dom might do something similar in more social situations than they do like the ESTP would, which would be in totally different scenarios. But the basic idea is that they really do rely on their frameworks more than their extroverted sensing, which makes them look like an ISTP or an ISFP. But they're going to have the same dynamics as the ESTP and ESFP might. The SI Dom type 6 is going to be ultra prepared. So like, I don't have any jokes for this one. It's just funny to me because, you know, SI Doms are already focused on preparation. And SI Doms are a lot of society. So it makes sense because type 6s are also a lot of society. So it just makes sense that a lot of SI Doms would be type 6. I'm actually very sure there's a strong correlation there. SI Doms already have a sense of needing to feel prepared, especially like, you know, if you watch Michael Pierce's videos, there's a video on like the ESTJ, for example, where he talks about how with the ENTJ, they shoot more forward in the sense that they are looking to manifest a reality, while the ESTJ is more concerned with their eventual future. They don't have like a good sense of what's happening next, so they fear what will happen next. And so for the ESTJ, that SI makes them want to prepare, so that if anything does happen, that tertiary extrovert intuition, you know, they can be prepared for it. The same way for the SI users, want to be prepared. The type 6 SI users, they're going to be very oriented towards making sure all their ducks are in a row, or whatever the saying is. I don't know. All right, so that's it. Thank you so much for watching. You guys should check out the MBTV forums, because the forums, like right now, our forums need some love, like honestly. The forum is a really cool place. It's a really cool setup. Like, you know, I'm not gonna like bash on any other forums, but when I go to like Personality Cafe, for example, you know, I mean, I'm a designer, so when I look at that website, I'm like, like, God, it's so disturbing. But like our website, it's not the best when it comes to design. I've got to do some work on it. But it is definitely much cleaner, and I prefer using it over Personality Cafe, and I don't even really use a lot of forums. But any of you guys, the INTPs out there who want to document, make some, you know, Wikipedia articles, just take it over the forums. If you have to copy paste some stuff too, I don't care. You're the one committing the crime. But yeah, thank you guys so much. You should go make an account on the forums, and we'll talk to you next time. Ciao. They are almost always in this mode of thought. An unhealthy type 5 will be so focused on their inner world that they may not take in much information from the outside world. While they are highly perceptive individuals, in an unhealthy state they are so far in their own heads that not much from the outside world comes in. This inhibits their growth, as they need to take in more information from the outside world to develop their thoughts. Let's jump into the differences between 5-wing 4 and 5-wing 6. Something